18 is a little...
Sorry, I can't remember anything today.
The Twilight Saga was a worldwide phenomenon, and without its very first film, the franchise wouldn't have reached the success it did. So, what exactly made the first movie so special? Today, we're giving you a behind-the-scenes look at some of the most surprising and adorable moments that happened on set. Even the most hardcore Twihards will be questioning everything they know about the film.
Glad you're here. We need an umpire.
She thinks we cheat.
Well, I know you cheat.
It's time to talk about how they brought this thunderous baseball scene to life. Putting together a vampire baseball scene wasn't easy for anyone. The visual effects team had to map out the entire scene digitally so that they'd be able to add any extra footage they needed. Catherine Hardwicke said they originally wanted a little bit of sunshine, but soon realized that would mean making the Cullen clan sparkle, an effect that would cost them big bucks. That was as far as the digital effects went. This Twilight film was on a budget, which meant using as many practical effects as possible. The most impressive part of the scene is how they got the vampires moving. For the Cullens, they were attached to ropes and harnesses while running to help them achieve a smoother glide. But for villains James, Laurent, and Victoria, their actors walked through the field on a magical green carpet to make it seem as if they were floating.
You better hold on tight, spider monkey.
Bella and Edward's infamous treetop scene took quite a few different shots. With plenty of rope, stunt doubles, and a helicopter to get this shot, it was made possible. But there was still some tweaking that needed to be done, like moving trees and adding in cardboard ones to make the forest look a little more full. However, the best part of the behind the scenes may just be how adorable Rob and Kristen were with one another.
Do you trust me?
In theory.
The CGI and visual effects in Twilight were very minimal, but there was no way to have our Pats attack a deer like Edward without the help of some movie magic. This opening scene was completely digital. From the forest, deer running, and Edward snatching it up mid-jump, it was all done with computers. Check out the breakdown of this scene.
Across the frame to tackle the deer, and of course we couldn't do that for real, so we did that in visual effects.
Talk about a jigsaw puzzle. The car accident scene in the parking lot of Forks High was filmed in multiple parts. This was to make sure they kept the cast and crew as safe as possible. Rob and Kristen filmed their parts without the car even being there. The actual accident was filmed without any actors nearby. As for Edward's superhuman strength, the car door was made out of a soft metal panel with plasticine backings that was easy to mold. The complexity of the scene led to plenty of adorable moments between the actors on set that day, especially Kristen. This adorable behind-the-scenes moment shows off that props, even large ones, don't always function properly. Kristen couldn't get the door open to the truck and ruined the entire take. On one hand, the mishap allowed her to show off her goofy side to us.
Hi, I'm Robert.
And I'm Kristen.
Rob and Kristen didn't spend all their time on set. Sometimes they would get called in for behind-the-scenes interviews where things got hilarious. For actors, these two really couldn't seem to remember the lines for the interview.
Why do I keep thinking that is part of the thing? This comes out in December, theaters in December. Alright.
It made it all even more adorable. Their chemistry, off and on screen, was undeniable.
Okay, I'm sorry. I can't look at you when I do it. All right.
Bella Swan isn't the most coordinated person. We know that from the very moment she steps in the gym on her first day of school. Volleyball definitely isn't her forte, but it turns out it's also not Kristen's. In these behind-the-scenes clips, you can see that the moment where Bella accidentally hits Mike in the head with the volleyball wasn't her. It was a crew member on set purposely aiming the volleyball at actor Michael Welch instead. They needed someone with good aim to replicate Bella's bad aim. How ironic.
You're good.
How meta was the moment Edward caught the apple and replicated the Twilight book cover? Well, it may have looked cool, but Robert Pattinson would probably tell you it was just annoying to film. The moment took 13 takes in total. They attached the apple to a fishing line and on a crane, so that they'd be able to give off the effect of Edward bouncing the apple back up with his foot and landing in his hands perfectly. It's a good thing Rob and Kristen found the whole thing hilarious between takes.
Edible art. Edible.
Dude.
Jeez.
The wolves don't exactly become a main focus of the franchise until New Moon, but Catherine Hardwicke still wanted to include them when talking about the Cullens and Quileut's history. The most cost-friendly way to do this was to bring in actual wolves instead of using visual effects. It ended up turning out extremely authentic.
Beautiful.
Very visually dynamic.
Filming in a room full of mirrors, a filmmaker's nightmare. The studio fight between Edward and James was extremely difficult to execute because they had to maneuver the cameras and crew into a position where they wouldn't be seen. It was the first scene of the entire film to be shot, but that didn't stop the actors from bonding. While the fight was coordinated, part of what you see in the film was actually Rob and Cam Gigonde improvising.
You're beautiful.
The visual effects lead called adding the vampire sparkle the biggest challenge they faced while making the film, because they needed to make Edward look smooth at the same time. They did this by mapping out Robert and adding sparkles in during editing. But Robert and Kristen still needed to film the actual scene where he reveals himself. It may look like a simple take of them relaxing in the meadow, but in reality, the two actors were under a very bright light to mimic the sun that was blinding. You can see them struggling to keep their eyes open, and their giggles of relief when they call cut.
Cut.
Good.
Good one, huh?
The outdoor prom scene was a nightmare to film. Not only was it at 2 a.m., but it was only 22 degrees outside, and the cast and crew were freezing. Especially Kristen, who had to get through the take in nothing but a little sweater. The temperature also caused slippery conditions, and a wipeout from Rob that Kristen still regrets not being there to witness.
Rob fell? No, I didn't see Rob fall. I wish I did.
A lot was taken into consideration when it came to the soundtrack of the film. Catherine had to make sure that the music also played into the emotional aspect of the story, and was there for the entire process. Rob even has 2 original songs that made it onto the soundtrack of the first film. The songs were titled Never Think and Let Me Sign, and the song Edward walks into the cafeteria to was sung by his sister.
Could you act human? I mean, I've got neighbors.
From the start, Rob and Kristen hit it off so much that Rob was warned not to date Kristen off-screen because she was underage. However, before that, Catherine needed to test out their chemistry in her bedroom. The two acted out the couple's first kiss at Catherine's house, and it was Rob's one chance to impress. Looks like he did. He then went into major prep mode, working out 5 days a week and even getting his driver's license. But he ran into some trouble creatively when filming and was almost fired.
And they flew up and they're like, yeah, you have to do the opposite of what you're doing now, or you're gonna get fired today.
Luckily, it all worked out both off and on screen.
I am here to do my big cameo. This is my break into the movie industry.
It's a well-known fact that Stephenie Meyer made an appearance at the diner where Bella and Charlie have dinner one night. But have you ever wondered what she was doing on her laptop? Meyer was actually writing Breaking Dawn while this scene was being filmed. She had to make sure that they didn't catch anything that was on her laptop in fear that fans would become super sleuths and zoom in on her screen. It wasn't all vegetarian sparkly vampires on set. Things got dark, especially for Nikki Reed. Rosalie's platinum blonde hair posed a huge issue and was quite the nightmare for the actress. My hair fell out. It took 36 hours initially to make me blonde, and every other day I was bleaching my head and my skin. Yikes.
Yeah, let's just keep pretending like this isn't dangerous for all of us.
The Twilight saga really did start from the bottom. With an extremely small budget, new on-the-scene actors, and a lot of hope, Catherine Hardwicke and the cast turned the film into one the world will never forget. What behind-the-scenes moment is your favorite? Thanks for watching.